الفكر يا إنسان لو أطلقته متأملا في قدرة الرحمن لخضعت إجلالا وتسبيحا له سبحانه رب عظيم الشان.
Point number 4, attention, very important principles. And here, because we're talking about, as I said, is a matter of aqidah, a matter of faith and belief, then I think these points we have to mention them. And principles really, as I said, will protect you a lot, inshallah. I said here, there are 5, I mentioned 5, but it can be more than that. Very important principles that have to be understood and observed. These important principles will save you from falling into other sects, inshallah. So the first one, the first principle, the first rule, the first any name, fact, whatever you need to call it, I call it a principle. The first one is believing in the last day is part of belief of the belief in the unseen, al-ghaybiyat. Okay, now to understand this, look to this. I think it will come after this. Okay, I'll leave it later. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, at the beginning of the Quran, and you heard this from your Imam in the first day of Ramadan, Taraweeh, Surah Al-Baqarah, Alif Lam Mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. And then Allah start praising the believers. He's praised the believers. He said, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. So see the first page of the Quran mentioning Al-Yawm Al-Akhir. Al-Yawm Al-Akhir is ghaib. Allah mentioned it in here. So what I would like you to know, this. So to understand the principle, the first one, it is believing in Al-Yawm Al-Akhir. It is part of to believe in the unseen world, the unseen Al-Ghaybiyat. In Sharia, we have two things. In Sharia, we have the world of Ash-Shahada and the world of Al-Ghayb. We have the world of unseen things and the world of Shahada opposite. Don't translate it or don't explain it as some people are saying Al-Mahsusat. Al-Mahsusat, it means something physical. You can't touch it. No, it's not the translation or the meaning of a Shahada, not something physical, because you might witness an incident, something, an event, you see it with your eyes, but you can't touch it. And that will be included in a Shahada world. So the world of witness, that when you witness something, when you see something, and you know it, you are aware of it, you've seen it with your eyes, and you witness it with your body, or you touched it, whatever from your senses that you've seen it in there. That will be from Alim al-Shahada. And then we have Alim al-Ghayb. The world of Ghayb, including Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, believing in him subhanahu wa ta'ala, is from the unseen world. Did you see Allah? Did you see Allah? No. Say it loud. No. Okay, so we didn't see Allah, but we believed in Allah. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised us from the beginning of the Quran, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. They believed in him subhanahu wa ta'ala, didn't even see him, and then they believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How we believed in him? We believed in him the way how he described himself in the Quran, in the Sunnah, and the Ahadith. And that is unseen. Going into the Al-Yawm Al-Akhir, starting from the world after death, when the Kuffar Quraysh, after they've been driven and influenced by the Yahud in Medina, they said to Muhammad, they said to them, ask Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam about ar-ruh, about the soul. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ. Ar-ruh, something ghaib. Do you see ar-ruh? No. We don't see it. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, did not answer the question. They asked him 4 questions. He answered 3, 1 he didn't answer. He said, قُلُ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي. So ar-ruh is from the matter of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a ghaib. We don't know about it. And you come to Yawm al-Qiyamah, you die. What is going to happen on the after your death, unless if you go with the person in the grave, and even if you go with the person in the grave and you stay in the grave, the actions or the events of after death, it will not take place. You're not going to have them. The Raqib and Atid, or the questioners of the angels, they're not going to come to you and ask you. because you're not dead at that time. So all of that is ghaib, is unseen. We don't know it. We don't know that. All of that is unseen. And yet, although it's unseen, we are good people. We are praised by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We believed in all of that. We said, as end of Surah Al-Baqarah, what did he say? سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا وَإِلَيْكَ الْمَصِيرُ. So we listened to what you said to us, O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we believed in that. So this is the first principle that we need to have. Second principle is everything related to the last day was explained by the Prophet ﷺ. Now all this principle, you're going to see, we're going to use them later on in the course, next week and the week after, because if you believe in these principles, and these principles are mentioned by Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali, Ahlul Sunnah Jama'ah scholars. If you believe in this, you are protecting yourself from opinions or from to be falling into different sects that other people are talking about it. Because those who have been affected by philosophers in the old days in Islam, they criticize the unseen world. I might mention some of these names. You might be upset with me. I know that you might be upset with me. Some are doctors, like Ibn Sina. Ibn Sina, the famous doctor in the old days in Islam, he was one of the people who was very heavily influenced by the philosophers. He had so many issues about believing in the unseen world. Okay, that's one example. The second example, that's why I'm saying that you're protecting yourself. I don't care. I believe the unseen world. I don't believe in what they say. It's unseen. Allah mentioned it to us in the Quran. I believe in that. Second name, I'm going to mention it, but please don't be upset as well. Auntie, don't be upset with me. Yeah? Allama Muhammad Iqbal. Everyone knows Muhammad Iqbal. Muhammad Iqbal, in early time in his life, he was heavily affected also by the philosophers, because his early study was by the Westerners. And he continued his studies by the Westerners. I'm not saying that he's a kafir. Don't misunderstand this. We're not saying kuffar. We're saying they've been affected by this. And they're having issues. When you come into the issues of ilm al-ghaib, the unseen world, and talking about events and issues here and there, they will have issues in there. It's not like you and me. I believe in that. Was authentic, mention the Quran, I believe in that. There is a question Yawm al-Qiyamah and the grave, you'll be questioned about your Lord, your Deen, your Prophet. I believe in that. It was authentic, I believe in that. They're having an issue because the way how they brought up, they've got affected with that. And I'm not going to go into that details more than that. That's enough, inshallah. So that's why I'm saying these principles are very, very important. Second principle, all what was mentioned about al-ghaib, if it was explained in the Sunnah, everything is then that is what you should take. And that was explained by the Prophet ﷺ. Because there are some matters might not be explained in the way that you wanted yourself. So you might wanted some explanation that was not mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ. However, we have an explanation, enough explanation mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ, by the Sharia, you should take them. Don't take other explanations. Okay, now if we understood this, therefore, there is no place. Okay, let me go to the evidence for this one. This ayah explains or gives the evidence of what we said earlier. All the matters of unseen world were explained by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Allah said in this ayah, Surah Shura, وَكَذَلِكَ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ رُوحًا مِّنْ أَمْرِنَا مَا كُنْتَ تَدْرِي مَا الْكِتَابُ وَلَا الْإِيمَانُ. Oh Muhammad, you don't know what is the religion. You don't know anything about the religion. We explain to you, we made it clear to you, and you explain to the others. And that's why we rely on the explanation of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Okay. وَلَكِنْ جَعَلْنَاهُ نُورًا نَهْدِي بِهِ مَنْ نَشَاءُ. Okay, until the end of the ayah. Third principle, because we said earlier, therefore, if believe in that, the Prophet ﷺ explained everything, we believe in the unseen world, and therefore, brothers and sisters, there is no way for the aql, as you say in Urdu, to know the information of, or the details of the unseen world. So, whatever you have the intelligence whatever the intellect that you are, the level of your intellect that you are in, whatever the books that you read, it doesn't matter the level of knowledge that you have, the aql that you got, you will not be able to explain, to go into the details of the unseen world. Aql, say to him at that time or that minute, stop there. The aql was praised by the Sharia. The aql is good. The aql is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave it to us to look into it, to observe, to see the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creatures and to increase your iman with it. But not to go and explain something that the aql is unable to explain it, because the aql was beyond your level. You cannot see that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he talked about himself, he said, لا تدركه الأبصار. The eyes of the people that cannot be able to reach it in life. You can't really see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the way how He is subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even Yawm al-Qiyamah, when you see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Jannah, you're not going to be seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with full description, with how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He is in fully, because لا تدركه, you will not be able to know everything about Allah. Now, al-aql has a limit. Al-aql can't go into the level that explains that. And unfortunately, we have within Islam, the Muslims, we have people who use their aql and something they want to explain with the aql, or something that goes against the aql, saying, no, this cannot be believed in because the logic says we can't believe in that. How? How would you, let's say, you're dead and the ruh is not there, and you're saying the ruh will be having an na'im in Jannah after I die, or the ruh will be in the hellfire getting some punishment, and the body is still in the grave. How this? No, the aql doesn't accept that. How are you saying there's a punishment? How is the punishment? He's already dead. He doesn't feel. There's going to be a punishment in there. So you're using your aql, going through all of this. Say to your aql, relax, relax. Just wait a minute, relax there. I don't need to go into that deep information, and no need for that. We have a story of Sabir ibn Asal at-Tamimi. He was one of the tabi'een. He wasn't a companion. He was a very well-known person amongst the tabi'een, the followers' time. One day he was with the army with Amr ibn al-As. And in the army, while he was in Sham at that time, he was creating so many complicated questions, asking about, something called mutaphysiqa. Mutaphysiqa, something beyond the level of the human beings, asking so many questions and creating we call it in Arabic Byzantine conversation, means that a conversation will have no end. He's just creating. Okay, water, what is water? What's this, what's that? Creating so many complicated, he uses his aql. One of the things he asked, he said, وَالذَّارِيَاتِ ذَرْوَةً فَالْحَامِلَاتِ وِقْرًا الْجَارِيَاتِ يُسْرًا. What is it? And start creating so many complications. Amr ibn al-As got annoyed with his questions because he uses the aql so many deep in something that you should not go into it. He complained to the Khalifa at the time, Umar ibn al-Khattab. So what he did, he sent him back to Medina. Go back to the Khalifa. He will sort you out. Now using your aql, you're not having a limit for your aql, or he will sort you out. He sent him back to Khalifa Umar ibn al-Khattab, and then he was told that he was waiting outside. He got al-Jarid. You know al-Jarid? You know where the leaves of the palm trees. He got them ready, and then when he entered him, he said, I am Abdullah Umar ibn al-Khattab. Who you are? He said, I am Sabir ibn Asad. He gave him 1, 2, 1, 2. He gave him, we say in Arabic, tikatah, and gave him 1, 1, 2. He punched him. He said to him, and until this person, he said to Umar ibn Khattab, he knows why. He knows why he was doing that. And this is called in Sharia, by the way, called ta'zir. A ta'zir, it is a punishment by the Muslim Khalifa. He will use it in the way how he thinks is correct. And Umar ibn Khattab, can you doubt Umar ibn Khattab? So he gave him that punishment until this person, he said, Ya Khalifat al-Muslimin, O Khalifa, if you want to kill me in a better way. If you want to treat me, if you give me a treatment, wallahi, I know the limit of my aql, where is it? And stop it. He stopped there, and he said, he after that, he banned him to speak to any Muslims using your aql, going into deep information until he got a shahada, a witness from other people saying that his tawbah was a perfect tawbah, and he allowed him to talk to the others. So the aql, there is a limit. We can ponder about things, we can discover, we can go to things, but don't question Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's ability by going into al-yawm al-akhir. Oh this, oh I'm not sure, oh this, oh that. Then that's, you're going to be in a big trouble. So aql has no limit, no ability to go beyond or to go to that level. Okay, so that's third principle. The fourth one is believe in everything about this topic was mentioned in the Quran and the Hadith. Don't, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned about Ahlul Kitab, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about them, أَفَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْضِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْضِ. Do you believe in some and you leave the others? Some of us and some of the Muslims, they take what they think it is okay for me. It suits me, I will take it. It doesn't suit me, I don't want to take it. So when you believe in this, you believe in everything that was mentioned about al-yawm al-akhir. Everything, A to Z. What we'll be discovering, inshallah, from next week, from the death, from the qabr, when you'll be put in the grave until the last day, inshallah, where we learn about Jannah and hellfire. Everything you should believe in that. Don't take some and leave the others like the Yahud. So you have to believe in everything. Take it, everything. It's a package. Islam is everything, not parts and you're leaving the other parts. Yes, you might be weak and say astaghfirullah, but don't say I don't believe in that. You might have weaknesses in something, you're committing sins, and we're not talking about the sins here, we're talking about a belief, something that you should have it in the mind, in the heart, you believe in it. Okay, it's more knowledge and more belief in the heart, action of the heart, than is a practice. The practice of it will come after believing that. So it will come later on. When you believe in the Yawm al-Qiyamah, all of that effects will come as we get to be learning later, the benefit of believing in al-Yawm al-Akhir. Okay, now the last principle is the hadiths of al-ahad is evidence or are evidence and can be accepted with regards to aqeedah. I mention this because unfortunately some of the Muslims, when you come into the unseen world, when you come to the aqeedah matters, and one of them is al-yawm al-akhir, from the start until the end, and in particular I'm going to repeat again and again, which is next week, al-qabr issues. We have a number of the Muslims, they denied what is happening or what is going to happen in the grave, to you, to me, to everyone. And they said, some of them, oh, the evidence that you mentioned about this are hadith ahad, and we don't believe in the hadith al-ahad. Let me give you an explanation about this, because fulfilling the request of some of the students who said explain from start, please. So I'm going to starting from the start. And types of a hadith according to the number of the narrators. Now I'm not going to explain you hadith, just this matter. We in Islam, we divide the ahadith to two parts according into how many people narrated that particular statement. Now if you think about this, what is this? Quran. The Quran was narrated to us by tawatur. It means a great, big, huge number narrated the Quran from a generation to the following generation to the following generation. Now our generation, look to us here. We have about 80 people sitting in here, 75 people sitting in here. They all recite the Quran, and we recite the Quran to the others, and goes one generation after generation. And we teach it from a generation after generation. It was quoted to us, narrated to us by tawatur. A tawatur means a big number narrated the statement, a long statement, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's words, the Quran. Now, it can be less than that, and that's what we talk about the ahadith. The ahadith are, the first one, we call it ahad. Al-ahad, I can't give you a definition. I need to go into more details. Al-ahad are divided to three types. The first one is gharib. Gharib, when the statement was narrated by one person only, no one else. You say, you go outside, Ahmad al-Barouni, he said, one person. Who heard it with you? No one heard it. Just you narrating this. And this is called gharib. Okay, I know in Urdu means something different, gharib, but in hadith terminologies, gharib means one person narrated the hadith. Okay, the second type is called aziz. I know that's also in Urdu, or it means something Aziz, and Aziz family here is Aziz. Aziz means two narrators narrated the statement. So one, two. Two people only narrated that particular statement from Rasulullah. And then the last one is mashhur, when we're having three narrators, they narrated the hadith. Beyond that will be called mutawatir. You go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the more the better. So what they said, some Muslims, they said the ahadith that related to al-yawm al-akhir, the hadith which are related to the unseen world, they are from the ahad section. And they said, when you come to the unseen world, when you come into the belief that we don't use the ahad, has to be mutawatir only, has to be something mutawatir. This principle, it's incorrect, it's not valid. We Muslims, we Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah from the Hanafi school, from the Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali, we believe in the ahadith of the faith, even if it was from the ahad. Now think about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Is there anyone else came after Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam showing that he's a prophet from Allah? He's single, he's one. And he said to us, I am a messenger of Allah. We believed in him. So we can say, you are ahad. Bring somebody else with you to believe in you. Okay? Leave Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. During the time of Rasulullah, the Sahaba, we have Rasulullah sent Mu'adh ibn Jabal, the very famous hadith. He sent Mu'adh ibn Jabal to Yemen to explain to them the matters of the deen, the tawheed. He said, إِنَّكَ تَأْتِي قَوْمًا أَهْلَ كِتَابٍ. You're going to go and you'll find people who are Ahl al-Kitab. The first thing that you should call them to is ibadatullah, that to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. And then he start mentioning them to him the pillars of Iman, and he mentioned to him the Salah and so on. So he mentioned to him the deen. And Mu'adh bin Jabal was one single person. So we accept the ahadith of the ahad regardless whether it's related to the unseen matters or related to the fiqh, salah, zakah and hajj. But those people are saying, no, we believe only if the ahadith, we will use it for the salah, zakah, hajj, these matters, not for the faith, not for the unseen world. But this is incorrect. Clear? So we understood now the five pillars, the five principles. Are they understood? Okay, any questions about this? No? Good? Okay. The fifth point, we are close to end inshallah. We have 6 points. What did they say in here? Why is it so important? Why believing in al-yawm al-akhir so important for us? Why? Okay, we're going to find out. Believing in the last day is a very important pillar in Islam, as well as the other. We talked about this, as we said earlier, the origin of the Judaism and the Christianity, their origin, they believe in that, but in reality nowadays is completely different. So it's important in that as well. Here are 7 reasons, general reasons. I'm not going to go into much details as well, showing, explaining why it was important for us to believe in al-yawm al-akhir. Okay, the first reason, one of the 6 pillars of faith. He said, "An tu'mina billah." You are not going to be counted as a believer until you believe in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So mention the pillars. And how are you going to take one out? You can't take it out. So it's so important to believe in it. Because simply, it's one of our faith. It's one of our pillars of our faith. Understood that? So that's a simple answer. That's one reason. Okay. Second reason is the amount of times it's mentioned in the Quran and the Hadith. Look into the times that how mentioned the Quran and the Hadith. It shows to us, because when they're repeating, when they're mentioning the point many times in the Quran, it means important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not repeat a phrase or repeat a point or repeat a faith in the Quran many times for no reason. When you are repeating to your children, don't do it. don't do it, don't do it. What does it mean? This is an Arabic called ta'keed. It means that it's important. I'm highlighting to you. I'm emphasizing on this. And you keep repeating this because to show it's important. It was repeated many times in the Quran, and we showed earlier how it was repeated in the Quran in different ways in the Makki verses and in Madani verses. It was still remember? You still remember that? Now let's see it from the hadith side. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned the last day in his so many ahadith in his sunnah. This clearly shows the importance of this belief. So earlier we talked about the Quran, we talked about ahadith in here. You may, if you read a lot of ahadith, you may, I'm not saying that you should because it depends how many ahadith you read, okay? Okay, it was said that 10 minutes left, but I need to finish it. If you want to leave, quietly leave, but I'm going to stay here until I finish it, okay? You may find the Prophet ﷺ, I'm saying here, if you read a hadith, but if you don't read a hadith, you may not see this one. But with the Quran, earlier I said to you, you're going to see it because I know that you read Quran. So if you read a hadith, you're going to find the way how Rasulullah used al-yawm al-akhir in his statements. And now earlier we explained the way how the Quran used it, and now the hadith how they used it. One, in his du'as, Rasulullah used that in his du'as. So you'll find the word al-yawm al-akhir used in the du'as a lot. I'll give you one of the du'as soon. Okay? Also, Rasulullah used al-yawm al-akhir in the G1 down, so please read it. Encouraging, when he wants to encourage, give motivations and encouraging people to do something and being something or being with the other people, being with that. Allah, Rasulullah will mention al-yawm al-akhir. Opposite of that, where Rasulullah wants to make a warning, he will mention the al-yawm al-akhir as well. These are mainly three areas Rasulullah used them when he mentioned al-yawm al-akhir. Let's see now an example for this, because it makes sense if you remember that with a hadith. Okay, we have a very famous hadith. I would recommend that you use it in Ramadan. One of the authentic hadith was narrated by Imam Muslim, by Imam Hurairah radiallahu anhu. Rasulullah used to say that regularly. It has no time. You can say it day, evening, anytime. Rasulullah said, Allahumma, O Allah, aslih li dini alladhi huwa ismatu amri. Let me read, I need to reach to the word, the red one. وأصلح لي دنياي التي فيها معاشي وأصلح لي آخرتي. آخرتي, my آخرة, my يوم الآخر. From the time when I go to the grave, make it good for me, O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't want the trouble. I don't want hard questions. I don't want big fitna. I don't want punishment. I don't want that. I want to be pleased. I want my qabr light. I want my qabr to be wide. I don't want to be too much punishment in there. So that is أصلح لي آخرتي التي فيها معادي. And in ma'ad means I'm going to be returning to it. I'm going to go to it. Everyone is going to go to that. So here Rasulullah used al-yawm al-akhir in his dua. So in our dua we use al-yawm al-akhir. It's just we need to relate things together. Okay. If you want the explanation of the hadith, I think maybe you refer to the other books because I don't have time. Otherwise, I was intending to explain the hadith to you, but unfortunately because of the time. So seeing the other ahadith, also in Bukhari and Muslim, showing the warning and the encouragement and the motivation and trying to encourage the Muslims. Rasulullah said, "Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawm al-akhir." Whoever believes in Allah and al-yawm al-akhir, the last day, then say good or keep zipped. Awli yasmut, keep quiet, don't say anything. And then he said in the same hadith, it's quite long hadith, Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawm al-akhir. If you believe in Allah and the last day, فَلْيُكْرِمْ جَارَهُ. Here, encouragement. You should be generous to your jar, to be kind, to be nice to your neighbor. Here is encouragement. Rasulullah wants to encourage you to do good deeds. And then وَمَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ فَلْيُكْرِمْ ضَيْفَهُ. Similar to number 2 is encouragement from Rasulullah and inviting us to be, if you believe in Allah and the last day, then we should be generous with our guests. When the people comes to visit us, we have to look after them. So here we so many. Take one of the books of hadith, for example, the Jawami, like Jami' al-Saghir, Imam al-Suyuti, and go to the index, just the index of the hadith at the back. And so you'll find من يؤمن لا يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر. You will find اليوم الآخر repeated so many times. And the areas that talking about يوم الآخر mainly will refer to that is a dua, encouragement or warnings. It can be some other reasons as well. Okay, so that's the second reason. The third reason why believing in the last day is so important is its connection with the origin of the faith and believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We showed earlier in the ayat, in the hadith, just previously now we mentioned, Man kana yu'minu, say it, billah. So whenever al-yawm al-akhir is mentioned, is connected with the asl, the origin of the whole faith, which is al-yawm, believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I just remembered, because I was given the time, I remember that I promised that we'll stop at 1 hour, as I said, but inshallah we'll do it next week, inshallah. Okay. I promised that after 1 hour we'll have a short break, stand up, stretch your body, and then come down to continue, but inshallah we'll do that next week. The fourth reason, the amount of the books that were authored about it. If you look into the scholars of Islam, and even they mentioned before Islam about the books or written by the old Yahud and Ahl al-Kitab, they talked about al-Yawm al-Akhir. Amongst us as Muslims, so many books that just explain and the mentioning the details about the events of al-Yawm al-Akhir to show to us it's important. It's very, very important for us as well. Okay, I know why I said that I'm giving you a break, because I see some of you that start sleeping. So if you are asleep, stand up, wake up. Okay. Fifth reason, the amount of the names that were given and used to refer to the Yawm al-Akhir. I'll give you this straight away. It was said by some people that anything great will have many qualities and names. Amongst the Arab culture, we have the sword, the desert, the lion, even women. They consist so many, they have so many names. We name them with so many names. Why? Because they're great. Anything is great, they think about as a great, important life, they will give. Naturally, you'll find so many names for it. These are examples, and Yawm al-Akhir is one of these great matters for the Arab and for Islam itself. They gave so many names. I know that you mentioned some of these names earlier. Imam al-Qurtubi, who died in the 7th century, he named the last day, he gave to the last day 50 names. He collected them from the Quran. Just count: Al-Qari'ah, Al-Zalzala, Al-Sakha, Al-Tamma, Al-Qiyamah, Al-Hisab, Al-Hashr, and go. 50 names. After him, Imam Ibn Kathir came after him, and he quoted more than 80 names after that. So imagine 80 names for Al-Yawm Al-Akhir. Of course, these 80 names, not all of them giving the exact name for Al-Yawm Al-Akhir. They refer to some qualities or some events or some matters are happening on Yawm Al-Qiyamah. We said Hashr, we said Hisab, we said Qiyamah. These are specific matters are happening on that day, not everything. Okay, okay, leave that. The sixth reason I have here, a reason of praise and insult. You will find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He wants to praise some people in the Quran, and Rasulullah when He wanted to praise some people in the Quran, He will praise them by Al-Yawm Al-Akhir and Al-Ghayb. And that's why it's mentioned there. When He wants to insult people, to criticize them, they say they don't believe in Al-Yawm Al-Akhir. And that is a lot in the Quran as well. We mentioned the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah as an example. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. It was mentioned as a praise. Now in Surah Yusuf, in Surah Hud, and in Surah Fussilat, Allah said, same phrase, repeated 3 times. وَهُمْ بِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ كَافِرُونَ. Hum bil-akhirah, they about the matter of al-akhirah, they are disbelievers. So they disbelieve in al-akhirah. And this is very clear, is criticism and insult from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to those people. Second, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said here, وَهُمْ بِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ. It was repeated in Surah An-Naml and in Surah Luqman. Allah praised them also, as we said earlier in Surah Al-Baqarah. So that's a reason as well to show it's important matter to believe in Al-Yawm Al-Akhir. It is a praise and is insult. The last reason is the amount of benefits that Sharia showed and mentioned that the Muslim can gain by believing in this matter, on this faith, al-yawm al-akhir. To explain this, I created a whole chapter, which is the last point, point number 6. To explain that, I said the benefits of believing in the last day. I know that we have a short time, and I know that you are sitting just because I said I'm going to continue. I tried to summarize this. I'm going to rush now. Okay, do you accept that? Because the benefit, and I think the benefit, we are as a greedy people, I'm one of them, we look to the benefits. Why it's important for me, I have benefits. So if there are benefits, then I'm going to take them. Okay, the first, let me leave this. So these benefits would generate great benefits to life of the Muslim individual and into the community as all as well. So it's not really for individual Muslims, for the community as well, in overall in this dunya and in the hereafter. Some of these benefits are related to our dunya, and some of them are we get to gain in the akhirah. Okay, the first benefit increases the iman. Believing in al-yawm al-akhir, you'll find your iman is going up and higher and higher. So it's a reason for you. One of the benefits of believing in Yawm al-Qiyamah, it increases your iman. I have here, okay, I'll go straight into the practical examples to explain to you that. Inshallah, I'll send you the notes and you can see what I wrote in there. Example for that. Abi Rubai' Hamdala, a famous Sahabi, tell you the story. Hamdala is a famous Sahabi, Hamdala al-Asadi. He one day, he's one of the people who believed in al-Yawm al-Akhir, and he's benefiting from al-Yawm al-Akhir by the Iman will increase. To see that, to prove to you that. He said, one day was walking, the story I think for some of you maybe is known. One day was walking and he met Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. And he saw him that he's not in the good mood. He said to him, oh, what's wrong, oh Hamdala, Abu Rubai? He said to him, well, when I am with Rasulullah sallallahu Rasulullah will mention to us, al-yawm al-akhir, Jannah, Nar, our iman will be very high and we will be in a better position as if we are really strong and great believers. As soon as I leave Rasulullah sallallahu I go to my families, I go to my businesses, I go to my here and there, bring, take, all of that you hear in the house. He said, my iman goes down. So, nafaqa Hamdala. He said, Hamdala is a munafiq. He's doubting himself. He said, wallahi, by Allah, I'm same as you, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. He said, by Allah, I'm having the same situation. Let us go to the Prophet ﷺ and tell him that. They went to Rasulullah ﷺ. They told him what they said. When we are sitting with you, you tell us about al-yawm al-akhir, about Jannah, about Nar, about this, about that. Our iman goes very high and we will feel better. As soon as we go to our family, we forgot all of that, we'll become busy and this and that. Rasulullah told them, you know the story, which is sa'a bi sa'a. He said, if you continue like that, by Allah, if you continue in that way that you are with me, by Allah, the angels will be meeting you in the ways of Medina and saying salam to you. But you don't want to reach that level. You're a human beings. You have family to look after. You have business to talk about it. And it's not all talking about this. All your life are restricted with the deen, but doesn't mean that you're going to talk about al-yawm al-akhir all your life. Is enough? 5 weeks of Ramadan is enough? Isn't it? Okay, so that is an example for that. Okay, we'll go to the, it's a long story. Second benefit, helps to increase the good deeds. If you have remembering al-yawm al-akhir, you believe in al-yawm al-akhir, will help you to increase your good deed. And I have an example of that. Okay, the example for the sisters. One day Rasulullah sallallahu one of the Eid al-Fitr, Allah Abu Sa'id al-Khudri said Eid al-Adha, and Eid al-Fitr which is going to come soon, inshallah, after 3 weeks, Rasulullah he went to the ladies and he started reminding them of al-yawm al-akhir, as Abu Sa'id al-Khudri said. He went to the ladies and he gave them the speech and he reminded them about al-yawm al-akhir. And he said, by Allah, I looked into the hellfire and I found that you are the most people of the hellfire. Okay, the Monday class, they know this. We talked about this in details in our classes, what it means. But I'm not going to explain that in here because we don't really need it now here. He said, and he started reminding them of al-yawm al-akhir and Jannah and hellfire. He said, Bilal was with Rasulullah. He said to them, tasaddaqna, means give sadaqah. And earlier we talked about the sadaqah as well. Tasaddaqna, do good deeds, give a sadaqah. He said, Bilal, he gathered on that day, he filled up his lap with earrings, with rings, with necklaces, with bangles, with a lot of jewelries. Ladies went for Eid, showing off with their stuff, and then they ended by giving all of that for Rasulullah. Why? Because Rasulullah reminding them of al-yawm al-akhir. To see al-yawm al-akhir is a great matter. Remember al-yawm al-akhir, your good deeds will have. You gave the money without even thinking. The Sahabiyat, they gave it. And I think that's what INED needs to do on Sunday. Just remind them of that. You will find all the ladies giving you the jewelries. Okay. The third benefit, being careful in actions and statements. I'm not sure if I have an example of this. Okay, we have an example. Okay, Ibn Abi Dunya narrated that he said one of the ladies, it was narrated that is the mother of Ibn al-Munkadir, but let's say without the name. She was told that, listen to this, how to be remembered about Yawm al-Akhir. It makes you careful. She was reminded about al-Yawm al-Akhir, and at the same time, her husband, she was told about her husband that he died. And what she did, she was at that time having the light which is made of oil. The light, a surge, is made of oil. And she said, oh, I have to stop here because this oil, I have other people who are sharing it with me. Became inheritance. It's not the only one who I own this. So she stopped. She was careful with her actions. And al-yawm al-akhir makes us to be careful with our actions and our statements. Okay, I was told to stop. Okay, we have some other benefits. I'll just read them. Having a decent life. I have an example for that. I have to leave it. Activations of the hope and fear. That's really, I was hoping that to talk about it, but inshallah we'll leave that for next week, maybe, possibly. Then, number 6, increasing the awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, justice, and wisdom. Wallahi al-azim, yawm al-akhir, although it's very scary and very, very frightened matters in there, but it highlights Allah's mercy, Allah's wisdom, and Allah's justice on Yawm al-Qiyamah. And especially the mercy. You think that Yawm al-Qiyamah is very hard, very tough, but it's very clear. The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be very clear to us. And inshallah we will see that in our next week, inshallah. Last benefit, having the good morals. Al-Yawm al-Akhir will restrict you, will make you to act in a nice way, to have a good morals as well, to have good akhlaq. Inshallah, we'll leave that. And now the end of this, brothers, sisters, before you go. Okay, my conclusion for this, I conclude the end by one statement. Actually, this statement is the title of a book, an English book, but makes sense to me. And it is the end we start from. Al-Yawm al-Akhir is the end we start from. Who can explain this to me?
That's the beginning of your eternity, isn't it? That's what I'm taking from it.
Yes.
You
It's the
focus on
end
the
of
objective.
your life, but it's actually the start where you actually start your real existence.
Real life. The real what Allah wanted us for. Because this dunya is a bridge. This dunya is just a bridge. You're going to cross into the real life, to the start of the life. But the start of the life, you have to look into the dunya. We can't really have it without looking into that. I hope that you enjoyed the fast day.
ختامها صلوا على ناصر الدين محمد رسول الله عليها السلام محمد رسول الله عليها السلام محمد رسول الله عليها السلام